This tutorial is about independent and dependent variables. So up front we have dependent variable. It's a quantity that does not depend on another quantity. We always refer to this as our x value. Dependent variable is a quantity that depends on another quantity. This is always your y value. Okay, so for example, in this table, we have pencils purchased and pencils available. When they write a table this way, your x value should be always on top, which is your independent variable, and your y value is on the bottom, which is your dependent. So the number of pencils available totally depends on how many pencils were purchased. Okay, so if you don't purchase anything, you have 15 available. Well, if you purchase 5, you have 20 available. 10 and 25 and so on. So how do I get from X to Y every single time? You add 15. Okay, all the way throughout. It looks like you add 15. So the number of pencils available, which is Y, is equal to the number of pencils purchased, which is X, plus the number of pencils you started with, which is 15. And we know this value because if I don't buy any, I still have 15 available, so I started with that. This equation is also called an additive relationship because you're adding to get your y value. Okay, well, what does that look like when we go to graph this information? Okay, so again, I have the same table. I've got my x and my y. I need to put them into ordered pairs. So I'm going to take each one, x and y, okay, and write them as my ordered pairs. And then I'm going to graph them. So 0, 15, 5 and 20, 10 and 25, 15 and 30, and then 20 and 35. If you take your straight edge, I don't have one with me, but if you take your straight edge, it goes just like this. Okay? And again, this is an additive relationship. Okay, now what does it look like if we do this one? Hours and cost. Again, when they write your table this way, they don't always have to write them across. They can write them up and down. I'll show you that in a minute. This is your y value. The cost is completely dependent upon how many hours you work or whatever this is. Okay, but how do I get from x to y every single time? I multiply by 6. So the cost that you're paid is equal to the price of your hour, which is 6, times the number of hours. This is called a multiplicative relationship because you have to multiply in order to get your y value. What does that look like when you graph? Well, I took the table and I went up and down like I said I was going to. X is always on your left, y is on the right. Okay, in order to get this, it's y is equal to 6x. Your ordered pairs then are right here. You don't have to rewrite them to see them. Okay, now graph. So at 1 hour, it's $6. At 2, it's 12. At 3, it's 18, and so on. Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and connect. Now notice this one went through the origin. Your additive relationship does not always go through the origin. Your multiplicative relationships will go through the origin. Okay, again, independent versus dependent. Independent is always your x value, and this is the quantity that does not depend on another one. Your dependent, or your y value, is a quantity that depends on the other quantity. Depends on what's going on with it. Hope this